Hey guys, salut, it's Alex. So it's episode 3 of the Sourdough Bread Odyssey, and today, after many tests, I'm finally releasing my sourdough bread recipe, and I think it's about time because you guys seem to be more than ready with your sourdough starters. I tried to be as thorough as possible. However, there we go. There are things you need to experience yourself, like, for example, different levels of stickiness, of tackiness. I can say the words and I will, but you will understand 10 times better, maybe 100 times better by doing it. Anyway, don't be scared and let's begin. First off, we need to wake up our sourdough starter in order to make it more lively and ready to bake bread. If you don't have one, then watch the first episode of this sourdough bread series. In a container, add 2 tablespoons of sourdough starter, 100 grams or milliliters of warm water, and 100 grams of bread flour. Let it sit at warm temperature or until it doubles in size. I use my oven to rest and to proof doughs and sourdoughs. The temperature is off, but the light is on, so it keeps it slightly warm, which is just perfect. There are no drafts, you know, no shaking, no nothing, so it's just the perfect, peaceful place for that. Sourdough is ready when it's all bubbly and foamy, and when it can pass safely the floating test. In my case, it takes 4 hours and 45 minutes. What really makes this recipe practical, almost magical, is that I use mnemonic proportions. 1 part sourdough, 2 parts water, 3 parts flour. And that makes for a decently soft, hydrated dough. Not like an insanely, super hydrated, shaggy mess. So in a large bowl, place 400 grams or milliliters of water, 200 grams of sourdough, and 600 grams of bread flour. And no, bread flour is not all-purpose flour. If you want to know more about ash content, protein content, all those stuff, watch episode number 2 of the sour bread series. Now with your hands or a spatula, get rid of any lumps, flour pockets or puddles of water. Let it rest in the bowl covered for 30 minutes up to 1 hour. Don't skip the resting period. It's crucial to allow flour and water to combine properly. In fact, do not skip any step in this recipe because I already did. I removed everything that was unnecessary. So just, be square. Add 12 grams of salt and a splash of water, super important. First, it dissolves the salt straight away, and also it gives you that helpful extra boost in smoothness during the next step. Get the dough out of the bowl on a hard, clean and non-porous surface. I am kneading the dough using a routine. It's not complicated, so just watch carefully. So let me just reenact this routine just for you to truly and deeply understand it. Let's pretend this is our dough. Turn, grab, turn, smash, pull, roll. Repeat the process for at least 10 minutes or until the dough feels smooth, elastic, tacky but not sticky. That will give you a proper dough with a strong yet organized mesh of gluten. Let it proof for 4 hours in a warm environment. While it's slowly proofing inside, let me remind you that you can subscribe to my YouTube channel because I make new videos every week, and if you can't really expect classic recipe bang 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 every time, you can expect, however, delicious vibes, creativity and inspiration. Drop the dough onto an unfloured countertop. Sprinkle it with flour and flip it. Handling the dough can be sometimes a bit tricky, so always do quick and confident moves. To start building some tension, fold the edges in the center until you get a rough ball. Let it rest covered for 30 minutes. during which it will flatten slightly into a pancake shape. Now sprinkle it with flour and flip it. Keeping in mind the picture of an envelope, fold the bottom to almost top, the right to almost left, the left to almost right, and the top to bottom. Finally, the bottom to top and roll it up. That final shaping is very important because it's giving strength, which is absolutely necessary to rise properly afterwards. With the seam or the joint facing down, use your hands or a flat knife and slowly but firmly push the dough in all directions. You can definitely feel the surface tension building up. Cover a bowl with a kitchen towel and dust it liberally with flour. Bread flour works okay, but if you mix it with rice flour 50-50, it works even better. Dust the dough ball as well and transfer it upside down in the basket, meaning the seam is now facing up. Time for the second and last proofing. Dust with flour, cover and then cool it in the fridge overnight. Proofing it in the fridge overnight is really helpful with the texture, but most importantly, it allows you to organize your schedule as you like, which is super important, especially with a long-lasting process like this one. Get the dough bowl out of the fridge 2 hours before using it. You know it's ready to be baked when it's slightly wobbly, and when you touch it, it gently bounces back. To bake our bread, we need a Dutch oven or a big heavy pot with a lid. It can store and release a lot of heat in a minimal amount of time, which is essential to create steam inside the dough and make it puff. And because of the lid, it also keeps all the generated steam inside the pot. I know it's hard to believe, but it is that steam which is responsible for the outrageous crispiness of the crust at the end. Place it in the oven at 250 Celsius or 480 Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes or until it gets blistering hot. Gently flip the dough upside down on a flour plate. You can dust some flour off if needed using a brush. Now, using proper gloves, get the Dutch oven out and place the dough inside as gently as possible without burning yourself. Score it all the way through, but not too deep, with a razor blade at a very low degree angle. It allows the bread to open up properly. To make your job safer, you can fix that blade onto a skewer or onto chopsticks. I mean, it depends if you're a fan of a Chinese takeaway or Lebanese takeaway. Just before putting that lid back on, spray the inside with water a few times. Now whack this setup in the oven as quickly as possible and immediately turn the temperature down to 220 Celsius or 430 Fahrenheit. Do not take the lid off for the next 25 minutes. It's very important to get the oven rise. Now take the lid off and bake it furthermore for another 25 minutes or so. Oh, even after 10 or 20 times, getting that beautiful loaf of bread out of the oven is always magical. A properly baked bread sounds hollow when you tap it. Let it cool down completely on a rack before slicing. A soft, chewy, airy but intense cream-colored crumb inside and a dark, crispy, caramelized and slightly sour crust outside. Of course, it is the perfect carrier for any tartine or open-faced sandwich. But I strongly encourage you to enjoy it first naked. It's a very sensual experience. So guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this baking tutorial today. I mean, as much as I enjoyed making that beautiful loaf of bread, it's super rewarding on a personal level. If you did, give it a like, thumbs up, and share that over your social media, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Spread it like butter using the correct hashtag, which is very appropriate this time. to be truly honest with you guys, it hasn't been always easy. In fact, it's been a roller coaster of mistakes and whatnot. So if you do experience problems and failures yourself, please, by all means, use the comment section down below and ask your question, you know, explain your problem to me and to the community. I will pick the most common and the most interesting one and try to make like a Q&A episode on this sourdough bread series. I will upload a printer-friendly, fully detailed PDF recipe on my Patreon page for all of you financially supporting me out there. Thank you very much. But in the meantime, go get your sourdough starter, feed them right, and start baking. Bye bye, salut.